Welcome back to Zion's Redemption Radio Network. I'm your host, Mark Lichtenwalter, or Red Pill Mormon. You can find these episodes at YouTube and Rumble by searching for Zion's Redemption Radio Network. You can also find the TikToks under the channel Red Pill Mormon and find my page on Facebook, which is Zion's Redemption Radio Network. I'm also in several groups on Facebook. A Fellowship for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is one, and LDS Last Days Prophecy and Gospel Discussions is one. And I will be posting the text there, as well as the link to the programs. We go live on premiere on YouTube every night, Sunday through Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or Utah time. I think we're in daylight time right now. Anyway, so we're going to be covering chapter 18, the fifth part of that, which I believe is 178 to 180, I think. Anyway, and we're just going to talk about who Adam is. We're going to talk about Brigham Young's declaration to the church and to the world that Adam is God, that he's Michael, and we're going to get into that. There's lots of quotes in this one. I just started my day off just west of Bliss, Idaho, on I-84 in Idaho, and I have 360 miles to go until I get back to the yard, and then I get to go home and enjoy a day off. I drive Sunday through Friday. This week I went down to Vegas, and then I went back to Price, and then I went up to Boise, Idaho, and then I went back to Price, and then I went to Nampa, Idaho. And this week I have driven 2,428 miles so far, and I have, 359 miles to go, so it's a pretty good week. Anything between 2,500 to 3,000 miles I consider a good week. So, and I've been pulling doubles all week, so it's all kinds of fun. Anyway, all right, well, let's get into this reading. It's the last part 5 of this chapter, and I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you're edified by it. So I'll give you some meat to chew on, to consider, to ponder over, to pray over. And thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, share. Click the bell notification so you get all of the notifications. And like I said, I'll be on every night, Sunday through Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And the programs will last anywhere from like 30 to 60 minutes. So. Also, if you follow me on YouTube, I will be posting other things from time to time, like I posted 1 or 2 extra things yesterday. So, all right, well, let's get into the reading. Thank you for watching. Here we go.
Adam, which is many, part 5 of chapter 18 of Mysteries of Creation by Ogden Kraut. Pages 178 to 180. Note, it is interesting that in this particular passage, Brigham Young refers to Jehovah Michael as being one person rather than two. When Father Adam came to assist in organizing the earth out of the crude material that was found, an earth was made upon which the children of men could live. After the earth was prepared, Father Adam came and stayed here, and there was a woman brought to him. There is no doubt but that he left many companions. The great and glorious doctrine that pertains to this I have not time to dwell upon, neither should I at present if I had time. He understood this whole machinery or system before he came to this earth, and I hope my brethren and sisters will profit by what I have told them. Journal of Discourses, Volume 16, page 167. though we have it in history that our father Adam was made of the dust of this earth, and that he knew nothing about his God previous to being made here, yet it is not so, and when we learn the truth, we shall see and understand that he helped to make this world, and was the chief manager in that operation.
So in the temple endowment, we are given a play that teaches these things, but people do not often see it because they don't understand the context or the foundation that was taught by the leaders of the church early in the Restoration, especially by Brigham Young, but also by others like Brigham Young, Joseph Smith. He alluded to it many times. He taught it privately. Heber C. Kimball, like Wilford Woodruff, they all taught these things. But over time, it was rejected and the doctrine was diminished to the point where by the 1970s, they started to reject it. Anyway, so and it's interesting because Bruce R. McConkie talked about the 7 deadly heresies of Brigham Young, which includes the Adam God doctrine, but he knew that it was taught. You know, I have it on good authority by a third-hand account that Brigham Young, or not Brigham Young, Bruce R. McConkie was actually scared um, when he was dying because he had taught so many lies. So take that for what you will. It doesn't have anything to do with Zion's redemption, but in the temple endowment, it is the council of the gods under the direction of God, our eternal Father, who instructed Jehovah, who was a new Elohim, to bring his Redeemer, because Adam needs a Redeemer, because he has to fall and then he has to come back. So Jehovah had been an Adam before he became an Elohim, and Michael was his Redeemer. And Jehovah, in a prior probation before that, when Michael was God the Witness, Jehovah was the Redeemer, and there was another Adam. So everything has steps. There's an order to all of these things that has been worked out over the eons of time, and we have the plan of salvation, and these things all happen in a certain way. So anyway, and part of knowing the character of God is knowing who he is and what he's done. Maybe not everything, but this is all part of knowing God. You know, and as you get to know him and what his roles have been and are or were, you're going to grow closer to him. So anyway, the council of the gods, who are called the Elohim, or the exalted ones, they instructed Jehovah, who is a new Elohim, to bring Michael to this earth and to show him how to organize the earth. But Michael does the work. That's why he's called God the Creator. That's why Michael is called God the Creator. And Michael takes upon himself the name of God the Eternal Father to honor him. And he brought his wife here. She wasn't given to him here. They were sealed by the Holy Spirit of promise when Michael was a Redeemer on our last earth. So, and Brigham Young talks about a speculation that no doubt he left many great companions there. Maybe. The whole thing about polygamy is kind of all screwed up. The reason why God allows polygamy, there's 2 main reasons. Because when we were intelligence and we separated, and when the intelligence is whole, before it separates, it is both masculine and feminine. When it separates, you've got 2 spirits, a male spirit and a female spirit. If they both progress at the same levels, or close to the same levels, you're going to have soulmates on the earth. My soulmate is on the earth right now. You know, we were not sealed. We were engaged. We were going to get married on January 11th of 2011, but on December 25th of 2010, Christmas Day, that morning, her father got very violent and abusive with my fiance, and I was there. And I protected her and got into a fight with her father, and her brother, who decided he was going to swing a bat at me, because how dare I stand up for this man who is screaming, rage drooling. Like my fiance was flinching because he was like acting like he was going to hit her, and I think that he didn't hit her because he knew I was there. But I believe that she has Stockholm syndrome. That's my personal belief. Anyway, we were going to get married anyway, and she was going to go against her father's wishes. And it was even interesting because I went, after that, I went to Moses Lake, Washington, to wait for her. And her family lived in Leavenworth, Washington. Anyway, we were headed back for some reason to, it's not Wichita, it's like Waccamaw. I don't remember what the name of this stupid town is called. Anyway, we had to go back to grab some things. And on the way back, it was so cool. So we're on I-90 traveling westbound from Moses Lake, and like, it's Washington, you know, it's the end of December, and there were all these rainbows. Like, we saw so many rainbows, you know, and she was like, it's a sign we're supposed to be together. And sorry about the tangents, but I guess you get to know me. Anyway, but there was these rainbows everywhere, and they were everywhere. It was so, I've never seen that before, you know. Anyway, so I took my motorhome and stayed in a place in a RV park, because I was from Utah, you know. And anyway, um, so I stayed in an RV park in Moses Lake, and she went to stay with her friends. Well, her mother, or her friend's mother, thought that having the gift of being a medium was a real thing, and you know, she was proud of her gift, which I didn't know about before that time. But so apparently, the friend's mom had a spirit come to her and speak to Maquette through this mother. Maquette's aunt had died earlier that year, 2010. I believe it was 2010. It may have been 2009. I don't know. Anyway, but they were very, very, very close. And this spirit was telling the mother, oh boy. Oh, here's traffic in the middle of Idaho. Road construction. Anyway, so the spirit was telling the mother these secrets that only Maquette and the aunt knew, to gain Maquette's trust. And then the spirit was like, you know, you're not supposed to marry him. There's another guy who you're supposed to marry, and you need to break up with him and have no more contact with him. And I was just like, oh, what? This is one of the reasons. So after Moses Lake, I went to Everett to give her space, because I was like, I'm not giving up on this. Like, I don't know what's going on. But I talked to the Institute director, who was Maquette's old bishop, and about what happened, and he showed me in the history of the church how Brigham Young taught that if a spirit comes to you in that way, like the mother being a medium, if a spirit comes to you in that way, you tell that spirit to go back to hell because that's where that spirit came from. But Maquette wouldn't listen to me or him or anyone else. So that's when I tried to. I was just like, I'm done. Like, I've had enough. Like, man. Anyway, so I eventually just went to Florida. But God told me if she makes this decision, then she won't have another chance to be with you. And like after that, I just left. You know, I have not had any contact with her ever since. Although I'm always concerned about people that I have been engaged to. I've been engaged to, well, three girls, kind of. My first wife, on and off, and on and off, and on and off, and she's still not married. So I wish that she would find somebody. I wish that she could have had kids. You know, she actually told the judge. Um, she actually told the judge that the reason she wanted the annulment was because I was sterile and I could not give her children, which I think she accidentally cursed herself by doing that because then she never did have any children, you know, and she never got married again. And I am not sterile, and there was no evidence that I am sterile, you know. So anyway, but and she, you know, like I said, she's not married and she never had kids and she's got all kinds of degrees, but still lives with roommates. And when her dad died, she had to like have a GoFundMe to get back um, to be at the funeral, you know. So anyway, um, let me turn that off. So anyway, but Maquette and I were soulmates. We knew it. And like my wife is not my soulmate. Um, my wife's soulmate is my best friend. They know that they're soulmates, and I know how they know, you know, and you know. Anyway, but excuse me. So sorry, I'm just reading these signs. Um, but Maquette, or not Maquette, my wife's soulmate agreed in the pre-existence that if the three women that were supposed to be with me, that made covenants with me, did not fulfill their covenants, then because free agency, that she would step in and be my wife because I have to have a wife. So the high priest in ancient Judaism, like he has to be married. And if the person that he's got a first and a second wife that agreed to marry him, if the first one backs out, the second one is there just in case. Well, between Rebecca, Janelle, and Maquette, I can't do that. um, all three of them, they they use their free agency to do something else, which is fine, you know. So so that's why like Heavenly Father told me and Kimberly, independent of one another, to take each other as like as a spouse. And she was obedient to his command, and I was obedient to his command, and I flew up on June 30th to meet her for the first time, and 20 days later we were married, and we've been married ever since. You know, 13 years. So anyway, but um, but her soulmate is our, our best friend, and he knows what he did. I knows I know what he did, and she knows what he did, and I'm not gonna talk. I don't ever bring his name into any of this. You know, he's a very private individual, but he's in our lives all the time. You know, so like we talk to him almost every day. You know, we go see him, or he comes down and sees us multiple times a month, and which is cool because she knew him before, like when we lived in New Hampshire, and he lived out in Utah. And then when we came out to Utah, she met him for the first time in person. Um, it was awesome. So, and I understood that right off the bat. You know, right off the bat, it's like we started getting to know each other. But anyway, so polygamy. Oh, how did I get into that other topic? Anyway, so polygamy is important for two reasons. Because when the spirits separate from the intelligence, that they are both intelligence. That's what the spirit is. But it's self-aware and it separates. Well, in order for you to gain the highest blessings that you can qualify to receive, which is exaltation, to become an Elohim, male and female, um, you have to be sealed by the Holy Spirit of promise. When the intelligence is sealed by the Holy Spirit of promise, it reverts back to that male and female energy, and you cannot be exalted without your spouse. And it has to be female and male, masculine and feminine. No, none of this. Oh, why can't I as a guy bring my husband to get sealed in the temple? It doesn't work. It's not part of it. You know, lesbians can be like, well, why can't I bring my wife? It doesn't work. That's not how it works. That's just the way it is. There's no changing that. You know, I mean, you can do whatever you're gonna do, but it doesn't work. So anyway, so because the different soulmates um, progress at different levels, they progress they progress at different levels, or like one may not progress, one might be damned, one might become a son of perdition. Or just, I want you to notice something. There's no such thing as a daughter of perdition. So, but there are many more females who qualify for the higher blessings of exaltation than there are males. But because it requires a one-on-one sealing between the masculine and the feminine, you've got one marriage, and then a sister wife will come in as a great mercy, by the way. The women who allow their husbands to do this, and it has to be by revelation. Don't just go out and do this like people that drive me nuts when they're like, oh, I'm going to go live polygamy. They don't even understand it at all. You know, so anyway, but it has to be by revelation, and the first wife has to put the sister wife's hand in her husband's hand. Now, I believe Brigham Young and Joseph Smith lived it completely differently. I believe Joseph Smith was sealed to multiple women. It doesn't require consummation for this. It is a sealing ordinance. Okay, but what happens when the women are married to other men who will not qualify for these higher blessings? Well, the woman can be sealed to Joseph Smith, but she remains married and has children with her husband. That is completely fine. Joseph didn't go and steal men's wives. Joseph received revelation. He discussed it with both the husband and the wife. They consented. Joseph was sealed. Two men, or two women who are already married, you know, and even to men too, because there is something, there's a line. So you've got your priesthood line of authority, right? Well, when Joseph Smith was sealed to Jesus Christ, when he received his calling and election, he became the link on the earth so that all they who were sealed to him were sealed through him to who he was sealed to, which is Jesus Christ, right? The Father sealed me to himself. That's when I got my calling and election, and people who are sealed to me are sealed through me to the Father. The Father is sealed to Jesus Christ as well. So it creates this web, I guess, of sealings between all these individuals. That's the law of adoption. And the husbands, or the man who is sealed to the wife of another, she's connected in that sealing ordinance to the fathers and the mothers and the brothers and the sisters in heaven. Joseph Smith was that link. That's why there's only one man on the earth at a time. Joseph was that. He was that. So, and all they, even after Joseph was dead, you could be sealed to, like Wilford Woodruff, and Wilford Woodruff was sealed to Joseph Smith, and through Wilford Woodruff, you are sealed to Joseph Smith. But eventually, for some reason, probably because they majorly treated the meat of the gospel the way that they did, and did away with all of these things, that knowledge was taken from him. He didn't understand it. They started getting into having confusion over these things, and it was done away with by Wilford Woodruff. And the church doesn't know much about it, other than like, oh, they used to do these things, because the historical record still stands, but they don't understand it. I do understand it. It's all part of the setting in order of the house of God, which is the work of the Father. So that's one of the reasons why plural celestial sealings is important. Now, what happens when you have a woman who's looking for a husband who does not have the opportunity to marry somebody who is equally yoked with her? This is where polygamy comes in, and this is one of the reasons why polygamy is important when it's done properly. Because the woman always has her children. She knew her children in the pre-existence. They make covenants together. They don't make covenants with the husband. They make covenants, or the man, they make covenants with the woman. Now, you can have covenants made between men and women, like Kim and I had those covenants made between each other. But more often than not, the covenants were made between the woman and the man. Now, the woman has to find, or should find, a man who will be equally yoked with her. And if she is a righteous woman, she needs to find a man who is righteous, who will help bring and raise up those children unto God in righteousness. But in the church today, you don't have polygamy, and I've met so many of these women who are not married, who have never been married, ever. In fact, David O. McKay's secretary had never been married, and David O. McKay was sealed to her, because I guess David O. McKay understood these things, I think. But David O. McKay was sealed to his wife and to his secretary, and she never married ever again, and they never had any kids. But the sealing ordinance was what was important. Of course, she probably did have kids that she should have brought down, but they would have to go to other individuals. Like, I didn't go to who I was supposed to go to, because my grandfather had a vasectomy behind my grandmother's back. So anyway, so I came down to my mother, her daughter, and the other one that was supposed to come down to her went to my aunt. But guess what? Grandma got to raise us both. So, anyway, I've talked too much about this. I hope that you're edified by it. Let's get into the reading again, and I'll try to not make these so long.
Less than Adam, greater than was the person who brought the animals and the seeds from other planets to this world, and brought a wife with him and stayed here. You may read and believe what you please as to what is found written in the Bible. Adam was made from the dust of an earth, but not from the dust of this earth. He was made as you and I are made, and no person was ever made upon any other principle. Do you not suppose that he was acquainted with his associates, who came and helped to make this earth? Page 179. Yes, they were just as familiar with each other as we are with our children and parents. Journal of Discourses Volume 3, page 319. We say that Father Adam came here and helped to make an earth. Who is he? He is Michael, a great prince, and it was said to him by Elohim, Go ye and make an earth. What is the great mystery about it? He came and formed the earth. Adam came here and got it up in shape that would suit him to commence business. What is the great mystery about it? None that I have seen. The mystery in this, as with miracles, or anything else, is only to those who are ignorant. Deseret News Volume 22, page 308. The great secret behind the creation and its creator was revealed through the mission and work of an Adam. As Brigham Young explained, he is Michael, the Archangel, the Ancient of Days, about whom holy men have written and spoken. He is our Father and our God, and the only God with whom we have to do. Every man upon the earth, professing Christians or non-professing, must hear it, and will know it sooner or later. Journal of Discourses Volume 1, page 50. I tell you more, Adam is the father of our spirits. He lived upon an earth, he did abide his creation, and did honor to his calling and priesthood, and obeyed his master or lord, and probably many of his wives did the same, and they lived, and died upon an earth, and then were resurrected again to immortality and eternal life. Teachings of Brigham Young Volume 3, pages 357 and 358. Page 180. The conclusion of the work of Adam and Eve on this earth was not death, but they returned to the spirit world from whence they came, which was not the dust of the earth. So said Brigham Young. For when Adam and Eve got through with their work in this earth, they did not lay their bodies down in the dust, but returned to the spirit world from whence they come. L. John Noodle Journal Volume 1, page 21. This, then, is the work of an exalted being, to produce spirit children and then create an earth for them so they can experience mortality. Then he must step down or fall so he can produce mortal bodies for his spirit children. This was the role of Michael, who became Adam, and is the role of every righteous man who becomes a god and then an Adam on other worlds. Next chapter is Eternal Destiny of Earth and Man, Chapter 19 of Mysteries of Creation by Ogden Kraut, starting on page 181.
Okay, there it is. It was taught. Brigham Young taught it. The church today, they don't want you to know about certain things. They don't want you to know that Joseph Smith and Sidney Rigdon finished the inspired translation of the Bible. And they give you little cherry picks of that, but they don't give you the whole thing. And they say, oh, it's not finished. Although, many times in the Times and Seasons, it was published that they did finish it in 1836, I think it was. You know, so the LDS Church also lies about the Journal of Discourses. Heber J. Grant wanted to actually do away with the Journal of Discourses until the fundamentalists started making copies of it, photoprint copies, and he knew he wasn't going to fix it to get rid of it and cover it up. So what they did was they printed their own version of the Journal of Discourses, and they tampered with it. They put things in different places. They put things on different page numbers, so that if a fundamentalist said, "Hey, look at this," talking to somebody, and one person from the church has the church's version, and the fundamentalist has the other version. Oh, go look on volume 1, page 50 about the Adam God doctrine. Well, what happens? Oh, I went there and it wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just this deceptive crap that has been done in the church by these Babylonian businessmen who have hijacked the church. And Heber J. Grant was one of the worst that we know of. He was in cahoots with the Rockefellers, and the Rothschilds and the Illuminati. But also, like Wilford Woodruff, he was a keynote speaker at the Bohemian Club and died the next day because he made somebody very angry in the Bohemian Club because he promised him certain things, and Wilford Woodruff did not fulfill the promise or the oath that he made within this Bohemian Club, and he was murdered. He was poisoned to death. He died in San Francisco the morning after he was a keynote speaker at the Bohemian Club. So there's a lot of secret combinations that are going on in the church, and the fruits, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, are there of what they actually are. They're not prophets, seers, and revelators. They are wolves in sheep's clothing, or wolves in wool suits. They deceive the very elect. But God can bring you out of that, but your traditions hold you to it. So anytime somebody speaks the truth and you feel the Spirit, it is the truth that the Spirit is testifying of, not the individual. So that's one of the things that really screws people up. Because, you can have a minister in a regular apostate Christian church speaking truth, and the Spirit will testify to the truth. It doesn't matter who says it. It doesn't mean the pastor is an apostle or a prophet. It just means that thing that the pastor was saying, the Holy Spirit testifies to that. So, and it makes it very confusing, but we're told multiple times in all of the standard works not to place our trust in the flesh. We need to go to God like little children and get revelation and confirmation of the Spirit, line by line, here a little and there a little, for ourselves. From God, revelation. God is our file leader, not these prophets. And if you're in a church that demands that you follow the file leader instead of following God, you can't do both. You do hear whatever the prophet says, whatever the teacher says. Hear them. They may be speaking truth. You may accept it. You may have a confirmation of the Spirit. They may say something that's true that you don't get a confirmation of the Spirit from, because your traditions and your false doctrines that you already accept damn you from receiving the truth. This whole world is full of gross darkness. One of the things that has been a hard thing for me as somebody who's woken up to all of these things, oh my gosh, the whole world is full of gross darkness and lies. It has been, it is, it still will be, all the way up until Zion is redeemed and Zion comes down to the earth. I know in the millennium that there's a short season where Satan is loosed again, or a Satan is loosed again, and there will be a war at the end of the millennium. That'll be the war in heaven for the next earth. So, yeah. Anyway, all these things have order to it. They all play out. Everybody has roles. But just like my daughter, she played a couple of different roles in this Christmas play that was hilarious. You know, but other people have played those roles as well. It's the same thing with the role of an Adam or a Redeemer or a Witness or an Elohim or the ones who are mighty and strong or the noble and great ones. We all play roles and we all progress. And just like my daughter played a role, she was edified by that role. She had fun. She was so cute. She's 12. But gosh, she is a drama queen, especially now that she's a teenager. But but she was edified by the role that she played, and she was really good at it too. I was so cute. It was so fun. I sat on the front row because I can't hear too well. I can still pass my DOT medical, but one of the reasons I wear these headphones all day long, um, even if I'm not listening to anything, and I'm just trying to protect my hearing because my the tones, there's certain tones that I cannot hear, and it's because I've been driving a truck for 30 years, so that and other things too. But anyway, well, I'm gonna get this posted by 6 p.m. It's actually 2:02 p.m. and I got 20 miles until I get to Burley, and I've got 321 miles until I get to Price and get to take my stuff out of the truck, my clothes and my trash and whatever, and get to go home and wash my clothes and have them ready to go for Sunday morning, and then I'm going back to Boise. Going back to Boise. So I hope I get a Pepsi run to Vegas this week. That was cool. Like this week I went Price to Vegas, to Price to Boise, to Price to Nampa. And let me tell you, I-84 between between the Utah border and Nampa or whatever, like it's my favorite. Like this is my favorite highway in the whole country. I love driving with these people in Idaho. Like they're not like, yeah, people are ridiculous. You know, they're self-concerned. But it's not like when I go down on I-15, going down south through St. George and just all that whole stretch between 70 and Vegas, like the people are just so different in their driving patterns. But I like Idaho. So you know that the other day how I was saying that I couldn't start because there were 80-mile-an-hour winds. That same storm, we didn't get the full brunt of that storm. I thought we did, but oof, we did not. That very same storm in Colorado, northern Colorado, there was a place that had 144-mile-an-hour winds. There was a ton of places all throughout Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Colorado that got triple digit wind speeds. Man, 144-mile-an-hour winds at that one place in Colorado, and like a ton of like 130, 120-mile-an-hour winds in a lot of other places. So, but it still hasn't snowed. I mean, it did. It did snow yesterday. I was driving, and there was snow on the shoulders, but it like there's too much traffic for it to stick. But we need more snow anyway. Excuse me. Let me get this posted, and like I said, Monday or Sunday through Friday, 6 p.m. I'll try to get one of these out every single day on YouTube. So, don't be afraid to say hi. I like it when people say hi. I see people popping in and out, you know. And I always say, hi everyone, in the live chat. Um, and I like it when people say hi, and I'll be like, hey everyone, I'm here. I'm traveling wherever I am, at mile marker, whatever. Like right now, I'm at mile marker 193, um, exit 194 Ridgeway Road on I-84, headed eastbound. So, all right, I'm going to get this posted. I'll get it up on TikTok first at Red Pill Mormon on TikTok, and then I'll get it uploaded onto YouTube. And thanks everyone for watching. I hope that you have a peaceful and restful Shabbat, Shavuos, and I hope that that you have a edifying Lord's Day. So I will talk to you later on Sunday, which is the 21st day of December, which is the darkest day of the year, the winter solstice. And catch you later. Thank you, everyone. God be with you till we meet again. Bye.